I guess we kind of heard the story in a weird way, but how did the name Papa Nick come? How did you become Papa Nick?
No matter who you are, coach or athlete, like you got to put your time in. It was almost impossible to say no. If the person said no, it's either they didn't have a good time, that's on us, or the person said no because they didn't want to do martial arts. You're 1 year from changing your life, and you're one more year from having the best year of your life.
Welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I am your host today, running solo. Mateo Lopez is my name. I'm your host, running solo without my compatriot, John Edward Franklin. He is a little under the weather, but that's okay. We're still going to bring you some awesome stories from the gym world. Today, I'm joined by Nick from, is it Gracie Barra?
Yeah, Gracie Baja. Yeah, you don't pronounce
Gracie
that.
Baja.
Yeah.
Nick Castiglia, owner of Gracie Baja, even though it's spelled with R's in there, Ottawa, Barrhaven, and Manotick. Did I get all those right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So 3 schools with a combined membership base of over 1,000 members. He's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and karate and traditional Jiu-Jitsu and all kinds of other fighting styles. And he's the owner of Legacy Martial Arts Consulting. And on today's episode, you'll learn how he went from managing a gym to opening his first gym with a little more than $2,000 in recurring revenue to now owning 3 MMA super gyms. You'll also learn about how he coaches other gyms on how to grow their gym. So, Nick, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. That's some pretty good hype there.
Well, I fumbled it a bit because I got thrown off by the names. I realized I needed to clear that beforehand, but yes. So if you don't mind, fill me in and our listeners on your backstory a little bit. How did you get into martial arts?
I think it's very common starting point. It's getting beat up. It's getting beat up as a kid. And my father, kind of old school, hard-nosed Italian guy, was just like, you gotta fight them back. And I remember this very vividly. I'm like, I don't know how. And he said, okay, well, we're gonna figure out a way for you to learn how. So that's when I was 10, and he registered me in my first martial arts classes, which was traditional jiu-jitsu. And that's been, life ever since. I did do some competitive hockey in between there, being a good old Canadian boy. And I love fighting on the hockey team. So,
right.
Was still fighting, even though I was doing competitive hockey. But just always kind of circled back to martial arts. That's how I got started. And it's very common even nowadays to see people bringing in their kids for a multitude of reasons. Bullying is a huge one. Self-confidence, self-esteem. And I think for my father, when he put me in martial arts, it was the same.
And did you always know you wanted to do this as a career?
Yeah, I knew from a young age that I said this, to my father, my teacher, my karate teacher, because I did jiu-jitsu and then I did karate. And when I was a teenager, I did say to myself, I'm like, man, I want to do this forever. Like, I don't want to do anything else. And even my karate teachers at that time had said, no, you gotta go to school there, son. You gotta go to school. My parents said, you gotta go to school. And just like any other kid, you end up finishing high school. And I finished high school a bit early because I was a troublemaker, and they put me in a special class to say, if you don't follow the rules in this class, you're going to get kicked out of school. And it was independent learning courses. So I hated school so much. I was very motivated, and I did 8 courses in one semester. So I basically did a year's work in one semester. And I graduated when I just turned 17. So I was very young. And I worked for a couple of years and just trained martial arts. And then still, not knowing what I wanted to do, began college. College sucked. I was really good only in one subject, and that was accounting. For whatever reason, I was good at accounting. I was terrible at
That'll
English.
help later on. We'll find out, hopefully.
And then I met my mentor, who he was my mentor for, many years of my life. And he was one of the only people practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at that time. And I just said, man, I just really want to do this. And I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with him. And that was around like 2001. And that's been life ever since.
And did you fight professionally as well?
I did. It wasn't great. I wasn't a great professional fighter. I had a lot of anxiety issues. I only went like 1 and 2 as a professional fighter in MMA. MMA at that time was not as organized as it is right now. Whereas now you can grow up in the amateur leagues and then move on to the professional leagues. For us at the time that we were growing up training, it was train and then go fight professional. There was no amateur anywhere. So you just I was like 20 something years old. Like I don't even remember what age, like 24 maybe, and just started fighting professional MMA. And, I had a tough go. I had two losses, and, it made me take a step back and say, okay, like, what do I want to do? And that's actually what led me down the road of going down the business route, because my mentor at the time, his name was Pat. He had 3 guys. He had a MMA Muay Thai guy. His name was Mark. He had a jiu-jitsu guy. His nickname was Hammer, so we just called him Hammer. And then he had me, and we all trained a little bit of everything. We all trained MMA, but each of us had like specific things we were really good at. And I was one of the 3 that really picked up the business side of things, and it came very natural to me. And under like guidance, from Pat and other consultants that he would hire, like we just did amazing things working together. All of us working together, but Pat and I, like working directly together, did some really amazing things together.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about those early years too, but I guess before we do you have to be a privilege? I mean, obviously not given your success, but do you find other owners in the space thinking they have to reach a certain level in their pro fighting career, like to be legit enough for people to want to come train with them at their school? I know in the fitness world, obviously you want to look fit if you're going to train people how to be fit, but for, MMA schools, how much does that matter?
Yeah, you actually hear this debate a lot. And I would just like to say for the record as well, like I have had a lot of success competing in jiu-jitsu. Even just in the last couple of years, I won the European Championship in the black belt division. That does help, but I have met tons of coaches who are amazing coaches that never fought.
Oh, wow.
So, and if you look at boxing too, you look at Cus D'Amato was Mike Tyson's coach, right? And I don't know Cus D'Amato's history, but from what I recall, like I don't think he ever fought. And he certainly didn't look like a fighter, but he produced Mike Tyson, So there is a ton of value training under people who have been battle tested because they can speak from that perspective. However, is it necessary to be a good coach? No, not necessarily. However, no matter who you are, coach or athlete, like you got to put your time in. So like I've never fought a Muay Thai fight, like an official Muay Thai fight. I've done kickboxing fights growing up. I've done MMA fights. I've done jiu-jitsu, but I have coached so much Muay Thai and trained so much Muay Thai myself. Just in a couple of weeks, actually, one of the fighters that I've trained for, I would say 90% of her fighting life, she's ranked number 1 in the world, and she's fighting in New York City, in Manhattan, for the WBC world title against the reigning champion from Australia. So, however, in between beginning and there was a lot of coaching, a lot of learning, a lot of studying. And, in short, there's just like, no matter who you are, you can't get out of the work that's needed to be a good teacher, but it's not a prerequisite for you to be a world champion.
And what do you tell fighters who want to both fight and own a really successful school? We run into this in the CrossFit world for people who are really into their competitive CrossFit career who also open up their own gym. What do you tell those people?
I tell them, don't do that.
Okay.
That's what I tell them. I say, don't do that. Or, you're going to need to have an amazing team while you pursue the dream, but that is not, it's just, I don't know the way it works in your space, but like there's so many things to worry about: staff training, staff scheduling, somebody calling in sick, expenses, income, leads, trials booked, conversion rates, like how much money am I putting away? Do you really want to be thinking about that when you're in a fight camp, especially something like Muay Thai or MMA? Like, man, your head's at risk here. You want to be thinking about your balance sheet, So,
what happens? You get clocked. You can't do the balance sheet anymore.
That's right. So, yeah, I don't recommend that. What's your experience in?
I would say in our world, we have to worry about all those things as well. And yeah, you can be really competitive in, the CrossFit world or whatever you're supposed, weightlifting as well, like Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, or you can be a really good gym owner, but it's really rare to see both done at high levels at the same time. One's definitely got to give for all the reasons you just said. So then what was your first job was managing a gym, correct?
Yeah. So when I was working with and for Pat, his first gym, I was the one who kind of fell into the managing role.
And what did you learn there in that managerial role and under Pat?
A lot of things. I remember this is one of my favorite stories is because like we were running it very like a boys club, like you pay $50 a month. I think that's actually what the charge was, or like $75 a month. You come and you give your money at the front,
If you remembered, right? Every month.
Yeah. If you remembered. And I remember him sitting down and talking to me. He's like, listen, he's like, we got to get everybody on pre-authorized billing going through every month. And I was so arrogant, right? Like I was 20. So this is like 22 years ago, 22 years ago. It's 2001, right? So 22 years ago or 23 years ago, I was so arrogant. I'm like, it's never going to work. I'm like, it's never
impossible.
Right? So I was like 20 or something, basically dumb, stupid. And he pulled me aside because I think I was like the oldest of the three of us. He's like, listen, dude, like I need you to get on side with this. Even if you don't believe, I need you to try to believe. It was from that. It was from, that moment. I was like, okay, I'm going to believe. And then he set some goals for me and I ended up crushing these goals. I signed up like, I don't know, 50 people in like 2 months or something like that, and he said the goal was in 3 months and I signed up 50 people in 2 months and it worked.
How did you sign them up? What was the outreach like back then?
The outreach, I don't know. It was mostly like word of mouth back then, like Facebook was kind of like the hot thing, but still wasn't like a super, like wasn't what it is now, and even now I think it's kind of past its time. But I would say like, Facebook and like Kijiji, maybe ads or something. Print was still like an option. Radio was, still big back then. Like that's the time we're talking about here, So it was mostly word of mouth though. It was mostly word of mouth and referrals. And we started a referral program and that was part of what led to our success because we said, if you brought your friend in, we give you $50, if your friend signed up. And if you brought in 5 friends, you get a free year. The 5 friends had to be brought in within 1 year, but tons of people got a free year because they just kept on bringing people in. Right. So, I would definitely say getting organized was the first step. And then the second step was definitely the referral program. I'd say the third step was setting goals, you know. And if you think about it, like helping gym owners now, it's like the same thing, right? Like it's getting organized. It's, you know, a great referral program is still amazing and still serves businesses to this day. And goal setting like serves everybody forever. You know, it always will.
So then what happened? When did you decide you were going to open your own space, and how did that conversation go with the homies?
Oh yeah, it didn't go good. It didn't go good. I grew up there as like a very young man, and a lot of things change over time. You know, you end up getting married, you have a family, you have kids, and the relationships change. And I needed to do my own thing. To try to work it out, you know, couldn't really. I think there's just like a lot of things like if I'm being completely honest, like I would say there's like just stuff that we didn't sort out with each other throughout the years that led to some tension, you know. And me and him were best friends, you know, like you would even say like brothers, you know. And I had said like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, okay, well, if you're going to leave or you're not going to do this anymore, I need you to sell these 2 gyms. So I sold one to the guy who still owns it now. He owns a gym in Kempville. And the other gym, he told me to sell to the partner who I began Gracie Baja with. His name's Mark Holst. And Mark's super accomplished fighter, MMA fighter, was the first fighter in Ottawa to fight in the UFC. He said, you know, I want you to sell this gym to Mark. Because I think Mark was like his son. So like I was kind of like his brother, but Mark was like his son, you know? And like father-son relationships, you know, can be like this. And we're talking over, you know, 15 years, like a lot of
built up,
a lot of this.
Pent up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine when you're at that age, communication is not the strongest skill. You know, if you're a mid 20 year old, you know, we're still learning how to communicate our feelings and how we're going about business.
Yeah. I would say even it took me to like 40, like 39 or 40 to be fair. Like really confident and calm and, you know, not dumb, you know, everybody's different, you know, but for me, that's how long it took me. So Mark, I sat down with Mark and I said, okay, here's the numbers on this business. I don't understand why it's not working. However, I think this gym is a gold mine. He would like to give it to you, just take it. And that's it. You know, now mind you, you know, like there's a lot of fine print in there. Like it's a $10,000 lease, you know, on $10,000 a month on an 8-year lease. You know, we're talking about $1 million liability here, you know, but, Mark sat and looked at me. He knew I was done. He knew I quit. And he said, okay, well, I don't think you want to stop doing this. I think you just want to do this like by yourself. And I can't do it by myself because I'm like a fighter guy. I need your help with me. I need your business sense. I said, oh, okay. I said, let me think about it. I was unsure because I had enough at this point. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go do something else, maybe become a fireman or something.
Oh, wow. You were going to get out completely.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting out completely, you know, and just not doing it. I was pretty sad, you know, like I'll just be honest. I was pretty sad and just, you know, worked hard for a bunch of years and just was sad, you know, like just said, I'm not gonna do this. And then, you know, Mark talking to me and Mark, to be clear, did not always get along. Probably within the last 2 years of this, me and him like got in a near physical altercation, again, fighters, okay,
right.
with each other, okay, after an event, like nose to nose, like hands in the air, like let's go, and people separating us, you know. So like Mark and I totally, like if you were to ask anybody like 10 years ago, like, oh, Mark and Nick are going to be partners, people have been like, you're crazy. Like these guys don't like each other, you know? And that's how the first gym how we got the first gym. It was kind of in dire straits when we got it though.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So, yeah, what was the state of the business and how did you and Mark start to turn it around?
Okay, so it only had a couple $1,000s on like pre-authorized payments. And so I guess what was happening was like paid in full memberships being sold, being pushed heavily. Hey, if you want to pay in full, like, and that's how they covered the bills. And then I got in there. I thought I was going to be like trainer of all the tough guys, and the fighters and stuff like that. And then me and Mark are there teaching. And as we're teaching, we're noticing that there's not that many adults or tough guys. Okay. And then we just keep on signing up kids, child after child. Next thing you know, our floor had 55 kids on it, in the class. And I'm like looking at this. I'm like, Mark, we got to add another kids class. Let's bump one down and move this one up. We got to do another kids class. Did another kids class. That one filled up. And I restructured our offer. And this is probably my strengths in the industry. I restructured our sign-up offer. 1 day a week, 2 days a week, unlimited, 30-day cancellation policy. I had a great schedule. I had a clean facility. We had a great product. We had all types of different pricing options, and the location was great. So for me, I call that the big five.
So a couple of those you inherited, right? The space you got in the deal. Yeah. So I guess the gym wasn't being kept clean. You decided to put in some elbow grease, reorganize some stuff. Did you get new equipment? Maybe, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we did like a small reno, cost around like $10,000 or $12,000. I brought in one of my buddies who had a really good like artsy eye, and we did it for like $20,000. Called all our friends for the good guy rate that we could get on the different things. It looked like the gym got a complete facelift, and then so with the gym looking like that, six schedule,
prices.
Yeah, raise prices a little bit, right? But we had the 1 day, 2 day unlimited. So, and 30-day cancellation policy. So when people came, they had a good experience. They had the clean gym. They had a great schedule, classes every day, 1 day, 2 day unlimited. Like it was almost impossible to say no. If the person said no, it's either they didn't have a good time, that's on us, or the person said no because they didn't want to do martial arts.
Why a 1 day, 2 day, and then unlimited? What's the thought process there?
So martial arts, especially for kids, younger kids. So 3 and 4-year-old programming is 1 day a week. So the parents are like very acclimatized to that, okay, 1 day a week programming. And if you look at the price per class, what you're getting price per class for those kids is like 10 times what you would be getting for anybody who did unlimited. The 2 day, to be honest, was kind of like was our like what everybody usually got. It's kind of like Starbucks, right? Like the small one costs a lot for the small one, but the medium one is like a little bit more. It's like 75 cents more. But because the small one is, people are like, oh man, I'm going to get the middle one, And what we found is having that middle option, like 80% of the people took that. And again, it was a great price point that people wanted. Then having the unlimited was there for the people who just fell in love with it, wanted to do it more than 2 days a week, wanted to, train 3-4 days a week. Ideally, the goal was to get them in on the 2 day and, move everybody up to the unlimited from there.
And what year are we talking? What year are we in right now?
It was 6 or 7 years ago. So I want to say like it's 2018. I think it's 2018.
When did the second one come in online?
3 months before COVID, January 2019.
So how big was the gym before you decided, all right, how did the second one come into play?
Barrhaven, so it's 2,700 square feet, so it's not super big, and got to just over 500 students. And, was like, I don't know, like $900,000 a year gym. So we were like looking, we're like, oh man, like, and we were owner operators. So like, you're doing great.
Okay, so wait a second. So this one was at capacity then by this point. You're like
Yeah.
kicking
Yeah.
ass. Was it just you and Mark still at this point, or did you have staff?
No, we had staff. Yeah. Yeah. We had staff at that point. We had developed a staff team. That's pretty much it.
So to growing this first one, really what you're saying is you cleaned up the place, you added more classes, you dialed in your program, and just referrals and lots of kids coming in. That's how we got to 500.
No, for sure. Like, well, like there's like some missing parts here. So I was part of a consulting. First of all, like when I had worked with Pat, he hired many consultants and we worked with them.
Okay.
And,
so you had some mentorship coming in here.
Yeah. So, and I had helped Pat build an organization of up to 7 schools, and I was like the GM. So we had 7 schools. I was a partner in some of the schools. We had real estate properties. We had professional fighting MMA event. We had an amateur Thai boxing event. We had a jiu-jitsu tournament. So we had a lot of like really amazing things going on. So we had a ton of experience. And on average, I'd work like 80, 90 hours a week for the majority of my time there. So in like 10 years, you work 20, So your level of understanding becomes so great on top of us doing things that other people didn't, like after school programs and summer camps. So there was like a lot of knowledge that was gained during that time. So that knowledge, when I had left, gave me the opportunity to say, okay, well, you're able to help him do that, and you're able to consult others in doing that. So now it's for you. So now let's see you do it. Right. So it was taking all that knowledge from that time and doing that. And I also hired consultants for myself as well to learn, because I like having coaches and I believe in mentorship and coaching. I had 2 different consultants. One was like really helpful and one was like not so helpful. Like, I wouldn't say waste of money, but it was a great learning lesson to know like how not to consult and
Right.
how I would not do things. It was all these things, accumulation of all this knowledge and then executing it. And I tell everybody this, I tell my clients this too. You're 1 year from changing your life, and you're 1 more year from having the best year of your life, because I was able to do it in 2 years, and it, changed my life and created the best year of my life, after that.
Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com. Wow. Okay. So we had some mentorship here. We had some accumulate. We put in a lot of reps, is what you're saying. We put in a lot of reps on the floor coaching. So when you had the opportunity to do it your own way, you kind of had a plan. You kind of knew what you were getting yourself into, what you wanted to do different, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I guess we're at capacity then. We're going to open the second one. What happened when COVID hit?
So we opened up the second one. COVID hit. We're doing the Zoom classes like everybody else is. We're doing the secret classes. And it was actually COVID that helped my consulting business, because people were looking for guidance. People were looking for help. People were looking for like a beacon of light, and it was COVID at that time that helped my consulting business, and like kind of one helped the other, where in the way of, as I was talking with everybody so much every week, I was getting new ideas myself. How do we keep this going? What do we do? I didn't buy into the COVID stuff. I felt like it was pretty basic understanding. If you weren't old or immunocompromised, you're going to be okay. And fit. If you were fit, you're going to be okay. And I believe that everybody should have the right and the choice to do what they feel, especially like when our livelihoods are on the line. You know, that being said, we still lost like $500,000, and I'm sure some people lost more. We got fined. We got fined over $15,000 in tickets by running like secret classes. Then they threatened, we had to go to court to defend against $1 million fine and 1 year in jail over COVID, over opening during COVID. With the way our lawyer told us is like they have to make us pay for something because they can't throw it out. So we went down from $1 million to pay $1,500 and everything is gone, which I thought was hilarious, you know.
So your secret to growing during COVID was just to keep growing,
stay open,
and
just
ignore
keep going.
was to stay open.
Stay open.
That's one way to do it, folks. That is certainly an option for y'all. I will neither say that's the right way or the wrong way, but it is definitely a way. And it sounds like it worked out for Nick.
Well, we just opened that main gym like 3 months before, right? So all of the funding that was being offered in Canada had to have a business history of like over one business year prior. So like, it was like too bad, so sad it didn't, matter for you guys. And we were just like, oh my God, like this is terrible.
And when did we get the third one?
Third one? How many years now? I think it's like 3 years. So I think it was like just coming right out of COVID, found an opportunity. We were able to pull the trigger on that and get that going. One thing I would like to say is that you need to be very careful in your expansion. So like anybody who owns gyms, like you're like, oh man, my first gym is like a world beater, like 900K or $1 million or whatever. And the second one is going to be the same. Like it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. I think I have one friend who has actually been able to do that. And I consider him like a genius. And I think he's the outlier. I don't think the majority of people can do that. Like, is that the same in your space? Everybody's like, they got the one like powerhouse, and then it's like they open up the second one and it's either doing like not even close or it's like sucking funds from the main one.
Oh, it happened to us. We had 5 at one point and now we have 0 and we do this instead. But yeah, I do think it's tough. You really have to have systems in place that you can scale with, and a team and a way to build a team. And that was always our issue was, once you get past 2, you can't be at each one. So you need a team. And if you don't find the right operator or the right manager or the right partner, it can absolutely destroy the business. And then you have to jump back in, which means the other one's going to get destroyed that you're leaving behind. So yeah, it's finding the team. And that was always something that we struggled with, and it was a gamble because you can have a rock star or you can have someone who you didn't vet enough or whatever. So yeah, we've interviewed people on this show for sure who were doing it successfully, but again, it is rare.
They're the outliers, right?
They're the outliers. Yeah, they're the outliers. So I guess said another way, maybe, or asked another way, what do you think's been your secret to scaling? How have you been able to do this?
I think it's giving people opportunity. I'm still involved because people want me involved because I'm busy. This consulting company has just exploded. It's doing amazing. And, I've tried to talk to the guys like, hey guys, maybe you guys want to buy me out. And they're like, no, like we want you involved. We want you to stay involved. And I'm like, okay. I'll hang around. It's nice to be wanted, and stuff like that. But people's advice, the advice I would give people in scaling, I don't know, like I would say give people opportunities, find amazing people who need an opportunity. And I really believe in that. Pat gave me some opportunities, even though like we've mended, whatever you want to say, like the relationship now, and we speak now, we're friends again now and stuff like that. He gave me tons of opportunities. He gave me the ability and the freedom to like try different things with working within his own network, gave me partnership opportunities with him and, me and some of the other guys. When you're building your own organization, I think it's really important to see who really loves what they're, doing inside of the gym, and who could really use that opportunity as well, and whose morals and values. This is major, because I've also had some partnerships not go well. And the morals and values is number one. So make sure morals and values are aligned. See who needs an opportunity inside your organization. I would say that's like the ones and twos of being able to scale. Third is like being somewhat capable. Capable could be on the mat. Capable could be behind the front desk. Capable could be as the leader, like there's all different ways, many different ways that people could be capable. And I would say if you're looking to scale, you're going to need a team. You can't do it by yourself.
Now in the present day, right? You have the three, you have legacy. So how do you, I know you talked a little bit about packaging. What do you price these packages at? And then, how many classes are you running in each gym?
Oh man, it varies. I'm sure right, from running a gym, there's like, you can't, I call those blanket answers. People are always looking for the blanket answer. So the packaging is not like a per class packaging like the fitness world. It's just, 1 day a week, 2 times a week, or unlimited. And then there's like advanced programming, which you can add on top of that. That's generally the system that we use in our schools. And, as you move up, you have to pay more, and that's the way that system works. Like I would say like our higher end package is like $200 or more a month, like 200 could be 250 or closer to that end. And yeah, that's about usually what it is.
And then when you have gyms with like 500 members, 300 members, 400 members, like how much staff do you need to run your facilities?
It just varies. It just, again, varies from gym to gym, because like Barrhaven, which is the original location, 27 square feet, it's only busy for 5 hours. It's really just open from like 3:30 to 8:30.
Is it because mostly after school and kids and stuff like that?
That's right. Our headquarters gym has a bit more staff, but if you think about it, we have like our 2 front desk people, and one of the front desk people is the manager / helps instruct. So he's covering like a couple different roles there. And we have our other front desk person. And then you have another instructor that's on the floor all night. So you have like 4 to 5 people that are in from like 2 to 9 at night every day. It varies depending on, as we get closer to the prime time, you have more people there. And if the classes are very busy, maybe we put in an assistant instructor to help with the busier classes, classes that are greater than, 30 people.
So I heard on another podcast, you've had, at certain points in your career, you're signing up 50, 100 people in a given month. What is the sales process now? How do you get people interested? What's the sales process? Do you book them for an appointment? Is it a free class? How do you convert them? How do you get them indoctrinated into the culture? How does it work?
You have all your basics, like you need a good website, you need tons of good Google reviews, you need, your website has to be like a lead generating website. If you're watching, you don't know what that means. Okay, not the website your buddy made, okay, or my student who's my friend who never updates. When I stop doing that, okay, just hire one of these companies like Kilo.
Could be like us. Who's to say? We don't know.
Like Kilo. One of my clients has a Kilo site, and it works so well for him, he turned off his paid ads. So that's one of the things. You got to make sure all your basics are on point first. And again, you need to have pricing options. So that's important as well. And another thing that's important is to have a conversion tool. So at different times of year, you can have different conversion tools. So right now, we're helping, all of our gyms are doing this, and all the gyms in Legacy are also doing this, is they have a really attractive back to school sale that's going on. And they're using paid ads to drive awareness with the amazing offer that creates the lead. But it has to be such a strong offer that it's a disruptive marketing tool. So in other words, it makes me stop. So like a one that everybody's doing right now is back to school sale, 75% off, 4 weeks plus a free uniform. So like anybody just hears that, especially parents who have multiple kids are like, man, 75% off. I'm going to click, I'm going to put in my information. And there's no like, it's a legit 75% off, but it's 75% off the first month of the uniform. And that saves people a lot of money. And it gives us the time to show them the value. Okay. And to enjoy themselves and have a great experience and see what the culture is like. Like, you know, it's as good as a paid trial as you can get. And the conversion of those people staying is like 95%. So that's the method for that.
So for these paid trials, are you booking them for an appointment or just getting them straight into the class? Are they purchasing before they come in? How does that work?
No. It's free trial. So they see the ad, they click. Sometimes, you know, people will have that they can, you know, tie right into their calendar just because it's been proven there's a higher percentage of conversion with that. So if people have gyms that the booking ties right in their calendar, they tie that into their ad. Okay, book your free class to come in and train, and we'll give you all the information. So then we send them the online waiver that's filled out before they walk in. We take care of them, and then we have our whole process when they walk in.
Nice. So when they walk in, they do the class, and then after that, you sell them on the 75 off, or
correct.
Yeah.
You're using your conversion tool at that time to get them to sign up. We have a whole process, like from when they contact you to them being reminded of their trial. How do we take care of them when they come in, to bringing them to the instructor, to the, you know, their first class experience. All of this stuff's really important to make sure, because the martial arts is different, you know, than the fitness industry. I would say people are intimidated by the fitness industry. So think about how intimidated are people with martial arts. It's
with
like
fighting.
another level.
With fighting people.
Of intimidation. Totally. So they need a lot of care, you know, when they come in.
Okay, great. Well, we're getting close to the end. A couple more questions. I guess we kind of heard the story in a weird way, but how did the name Papa Nick come? How did you become Papa Nick, you know, in your world?
Man, I don't know who gave it to me. I used to train like a lot of young kids for a long time, but these kids start growing up, right? I think one of the kids said, yeah, you're like dad. You're like, but they're not going to call you daddy because that's weird. That's, you know, that's not cool. So they're like, yeah, kind of like a papa, you know, you're like a papa to everybody. So then the kids started calling me Papa Nick, right, Papa Nick. And then the adults start calling you Papa Nick. Then the people older than you start calling you Papa Nick, which was the weirdest thing for me to get, you know, a grip on. And then my partner, Mark, only calls me Papa ever. He only calls me Papa. He doesn't call me Nick. He doesn't call me bro. He's like Papa. Like, we'll be in like professional meetings with lawyers. He'll be like, Papa, what do you think? What do you think about that? I'm just, you know, like, I know it's habit, but it's, you know, that's just the name stuck. I don't know. I've been told it's because of my fatherly qualities that
demeanor.
You know,
yes.
Yeah. That I have with people, and, you know, I guess being helpful or being guiding and guide people along. And I guess that's it, really. I don't know. It's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Well, I do think the reason I bring it up, I think it's an example of really cultivating a community around you. And so I guess my next question is, how do you build and maintain a community when you have so many people? You know, Dunbar's number is, you know, 150, right? You start losing track after that. So when you have 1,000 gyms, 1,000 members across 3 gyms, How do you cultivate and maintain that sense of community? Especially when I think about our world, for CrossFit gyms, you have 200 members at your gym. If everyone wants to do a happy hour or a 5K run or a coffee club, that's manageable with that size. But when you have 1,000, it's tough to do that those kinds of events. So how do you do it?
Well, first thing is through your example, right? So it's always through your example. Like you can't say, do as I say, but not as I do. If you do, then we'll all be better for it, right? Because people will learn from your example. And coaching, constant coaching, like something common in the martial arts world is like the eye for an eye mentality, or like you did this to me, so I'm not going to help you, and me and Mark talk about this a lot. And this is a saying, that we say to each other is we're not going to treat people the way they treat us. We're going to treat people based on who we are. And based on who we are doesn't change on how the person treats us. Is that easy? No, it is not. However, that's the best way. That's the better way. So through people's example, through staff training and coaching, the guys always come talk to me when we need to have difficult discussions with people. How would you say this? I just want to tell this person yo, you can't do that, and, just go off. And I'm like, no, we need to be very, hey, how are you? Do you have a second? Can we, how's everything going? That's my, through teaching people, that's my way, and I think that's, I've worked with Chris Cooper, and something, the way I had known that Chris, as a mentor, as a coach, was for me as a person, is he always says this. He's like, you got to help people first. And that really resonated with me, because I'm like, man, that's what I'm about. I just want to help people, help as many people as I can. If I always do that first, I'm going to be okay. So I would say your example, I'd say staff training, and also learning moments. There's tons of learning moments that owners just let go by, instead of saying to, their staff or their business partners, and having the tough discussions and saying, hey, listen, here's a really important learning moment. This person was upset, or this person quit because of this. This is something we really need to fix. This is something we really, really need to get better, ASAP. You know what I mean? So those I would say would be my top 3 ways of cultivating that culture.
So speaking of helping first, you also work with other gym owners, other martial arts gym owners, with your legacy consulting business. I guess, what are some of the most common mistakes you see when you first start working with a gym, and that you try to help them overcome?
I would say, one, trying to do everything themselves. Mm-hmm. They're the graphic designer, they're the cleaner, they're, they're the teacher of all the classes. They're the website. I built my website. I'm just like, no, you can't do that. You can, but it's not going to go really well. So I would say, the number one most common mistake is probably them trying to do everything themselves. The number 2, and these are as blanket as statements as I could get with this, because as you know, there's a lot of minutia in there, right? But is being adverse to help in any form. So not willing to take volunteers, not willing to bring on part-time people, not willing to hire a business coach, not willing to read a book and see how somebody who's doing the exact same thing as me and became uber successful, how did they do it? Not willing to have an open mind, so not willing to get help, whatever shape or form that help is in. Yeah, I would definitely say those are the 2 blaring things.
So we're wrapping up here. Last question I have for you. You have these 3 gyms. You've also been fighting still, it sounds like.
Oh, it's just a hobby. The competition, I'm just, lucky, I guess. I don't know. I train hard and I win majority of the times, knock on wood, for the last couple of times I've competed. I've done well, but the competition right now is more just like my passion, my hobby.
Well, yeah. So you have the 3 gyms, you're pursuing passions and hobbies, and you've got this consulting business on top of everything else you probably got on in your personal life. So how do you balance it all? How do you manage your time so you can do it all?
Well, I have good teams in place at each one of the facilities. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, guys, every owner out there, you need to pay well. So like, write it down twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Write it down twice, 3 times. Go.
Yeah. Write it down twice, because people like don't remember when they were like getting scraps coming up the ranks. Like, you can't give scraps and expect families to eat or worthwhile people to stay. You got to pay them well. So I would say have a good team, pay them well. You need to be hyper vigilant in your life. So your life is what gives me the most fulfillment. We call it, in our Tribonomics course, we call it the tribe of self. So what gives myself the most fulfillment? Well, usually the self is tied into your family, so your immediate family and your significant other. So your immediate family and your significant other, like, they need to be top priority. You got to be good with them. So I build my life around that first, and I got to be good with that, because if I'm good with that, I'm good with me, right? And then is the additional things that add to things for myself. So me working out, I need to do strength and conditioning a couple days a week. I need to train jujitsu if I can every day. If I can't, at least 3 to 4 times a week. So what I have found in putting these things as a priority and building my life around that, I'm able to tackle things a lot better because I'm feeling good. And it begins with you. And we hear so many gurus talk about this, but you need to do it. So many of us do not do it. We're sacrificing time with our kids. We're sacrificing time with our loved ones. We're sacrificing taking care of our health and being the best versions of ourselves, whatever that is. If you take care of that first, everything else is going to be okay. But if you're not okay, it's the truth. If you're not okay, nothing's okay. So how do I do that? It's by putting those things in that priority and scheduling my life that way and making sure those things are good first. If I'm good there, I'm good everywhere.
Well, that about does it, Gym World. Papa Nick, where can people go if they want to find you, learn more about you, maybe do some consulting? Where can they go to find you?
Can find me Legacy Martial Arts Consulting Instagram. Can find me on Instagram, Ottawa Martial Arts. It's more of kind of like personal martial arts and legacy consulting, all mixed into one, a little bit of everything. If you want to reach me, you can hit me up at legacymaconsulting.com. If you are a martial arts business owner that is looking to take it to the next level, or, just get a grasp on things that are going on inside your business, we for sure can help you do that. That's where you would find me.
And if you want to find us, Gym World, be sure to like and subscribe. It's not easy finding papas around the world like Nick. So, give us a like, give us a subscribe, support us if you want to hear more stories like this. And with that, until next time, Gym World, we love you.